The AGT stage glows with its usual brilliance, spotlights sweeping across the audience, LED panels shimmering with anticipation, but the moment Amara steps into view, everything seems to slow. She is tiny, just 8 years old, with soft brown hair tied into a loose ponytail and shoes slightly too big for her feet. Her simple floral dress, donated by a relief center, hangs gently around her thin frame. She clutches the microphone with both hands, as though letting go might make her disappear. Her footsteps echo lightly on the polished stage floor. The crowd, usually buzzing with energy, grows unusually quiet. Even the judges sense something different. Simon Cowell leans forward, his expression softening. Sophia's eyes widen with concern. Heidi offers a small, encouraging smile. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Simon asks gently. "Amara," she replies, her voice barely above a whisper. Her accent reveals her Filipino roots, her uncertainty, and her exhaustion all at once. "How old are you?" 8. She swallows hard. I came here after the war." The word war hangs heavy in the air, pulling everyone into her world for a moment. Simon's face shifts, curiosity turning into empathy. "Where are your parents?" he asks softly, almost afraid of the answer. "My mom is here with me," Amara says. "But my dad didn't make it. Our home, it's gone." The silence that follows is thick, emotional, and powerful. Simon nods slowly, then asks, "And what will you be singing today?" Amara takes a small, shaky breath. "A song I wrote, about everything we lost." The audience feels a collective ache. In this gleaming American stage, stands a little girl who has already lived a lifetime of heartbreak, yet she's here, ready to sing not for fame, but for healing. The theater lights dim as Amara closes her eyes, her fingers tightening around the microphone. A soft instrumental melody, simple piano, faint strings, begins to play. The enormous LED screen behind her fades into muted tones, silhouettes of broken rooftops, crumbling walls, and dust-filled skies. But nothing is graphic, just enough to mirror the weight of her memories. Amara opens her eyes. For a split second, she looks terrified. But then she remembers her mother watching from the wings, holding her breath, praying her daughter finds the courage she's had to grow far too young. Amara inhales deeply. Her voice begins as a whisper. "Where my home used to be. There was laughter, there was light." The softness of her tone carries more emotion than volume ever could. The purity of her childlike voice slices through the silence like a fragile beam of hope drifting through smoke. The camera pans across the audience. People are leaning forward, eyebrows furrowed, already touched by her vulnerability. As she continues, the backdrop shifts to dim lanterns glowing in the dark, flickering like the memories she clings to. "But the night came without warning. And we ran into the fire." A brief tremble in her voice betrays the pain she fights to control. Yet she keeps going. With each line, her voice grows stronger, not loud, but firm, like a child refusing to be broken by the world. Even the judges are stunned. Sophia reaches for Heidi's hand. Howie's jaw tightens. Simon watches her with a mix of sorrow and admiration. Midway through the song, Amara hits a note so pure it vibrates through the room, echoing like a cry from deep within her soul. It's the sound of a child who lost everything but refuses to lose herself. The theater remains silent, completely captivated by the smallest performer with the largest voice. Amara moves into the most emotional part of her song. The stage lights slowly tighten around her, creating the feeling of a lone spotlight in a vast, dark world, a visual echo of her journey. Her small body stands still, but her voice rises with a force that seems impossible for an 8-year-old. "If only I could go back to the door that's not there anymore." The note hangs in the air, trembling with grief. The audience feels it like a gentle punch to the chest. The camera immediately cuts to Simon Cowell. He isn't leaning back in judgment, nor wearing his usual analytical expression. He is leaning forward, elbows on the desk, hands pressed together near his mouth. His eyebrows draw inward as if trying to steady himself, but when Amara reaches the climax, something inside him breaks. "But I still dream of tomorrow. Where the sun finds me again." Her voice cracks, not because she is off pitch, but because her heart spills through the words. And that crack is what finally brings tears to Simon's eyes. Real, unguarded tears. He lifts a hand to wipe them, almost embarrassed at first, but quickly gives up trying to hide how moved he is. A close-up shot reveals a single tear sliding down his cheek. The audience gasps softly, even they know how rare this moment is. Behind him, Heidi covers her mouth. Sophia whispers, "Oh my God," and Howie looks away for a second, overwhelmed. But Simon doesn't look away. He keeps his eyes on the little girl, as if witnessing not a performance, but a survivor telling her truth for the first time. When the final high note arrives, pure, aching, hopeful, Simon can only shake his head slowly, overcome. It is clear to everyone, this isn't just an audition. It's a moment he will never forget. As Amara releases the final trembling note of her song, the entire theater seems frozen in time. Her voice fades into silence, but the emotion she poured into every word lingers like an echo. For a moment, she stands perfectly still, eyes lowered, shoulders tense, unsure if she did enough, unsure if her story was too heavy for a stage meant for joy. Then, someone in the back rises. One person becomes 2, then 10, then the entire auditorium rises to their feet with a thunderous, heartfelt standing ovation. It's not the usual AGT applause, this one feels softer, slower, deeper. People stand with their hands over their hearts, clapping not for the performance, but for the courage behind it. Many are wiping tears, others simply stare at her in awe, unable to speak. The judges rise too. Heidi's face is wet with tears as she gently presses her palms together, whispering, "Beautiful." Sophia places a hand over her chest, her voice cracking as she says, "M.I. Amor, you are an angel." Howie, usually a comedian, can't find a single joke, only pure admiration. Then the camera shifts to Amara. She tries to smile, but her lips tremble. Her chin quivers. The applause grows louder, warmer, wrapping around her like a hug she's been needing for months. Her small hands curl toward her chest as her eyes fill with tears, not from sadness, but from a feeling she thought she had lost forever, belonging. Her mother watches from backstage, crying into her hands, whispering, "That's my baby, that's my brave girl." On stage, Amara finally breaks. A tear slips down her cheek as the applause swells again. She bows awkwardly, overwhelmed, her tiny shoulders shaking. In that moment, she isn't a refugee, or a victim, or a child who lost everything. She is a star, shining because she survived. The applause slowly softens. Amara lifts her teary eyes toward the judges' table. She doesn't expect anything. Applause already feels like a miracle, a kindness she hadn't felt since her world fell apart. But something shifts. Simon is still standing, still emotional, still staring at her with a look that holds both heartbreak and pride. He steps forward, placing both hands on the desk as if grounding himself. "Amara," he begins, his voice soft but unsteady, "what you just did, that wasn't a performance. That was you giving us your heart." The audience quiets, hanging on to every word. "You've been through more than most adults ever will," he continues, his voice cracking slightly. "And yet you came here, with courage, with hope, and you turned your pain into something unbelievably beautiful." Amara brings a hand to her lips, trying not to cry again. Simon takes a deep breath, looks at his fellow judges, then back at her. "You didn't just sing a song," he says. "You reminded us what strength looks like." And with that, Simon reaches out his hand, slowly, purposefully, and slams it down on the golden buzzer. The theater erupts. A brilliant shower of golden confetti bursts from above, cascading around Amara like a storm of tiny miracles. She gasps, covering her face as tears stream down her cheeks. Her small body shakes with emotion, shock, joy, relief, everything at once. Her mother rushes out from backstage, dropping to her knees to hug her tightly as the gold falls around them. The camera captures the moment in slow motion, confetti sparkling, Amara sobbing in her mother's arms, Simon smiling through tears. He walks onto the stage, kneels down beside her, and says softly, "You're safe now, you're seen, and your voice will help the world heal." Amara nods, overwhelmed, as golden rain continues to fall. Hope, finally returning to her life.